This would be one of the most deeply personal, very hard issue that any person would ever have to face. What I want to see is to make sure that no one dies in pain or alone, and that's why I've advocated for more palliative care and more compassion. But what I will say is this: I would never, ever politicise this issue like Annastacia Palaszczuk has. This is an issue that was rightfully sent to the Law Reform Commission because it will be one of the most serious pieces of legislation that is ever confronting a parliamentarian. And that is why I agreed with the Premier. We had a bipartisan agreement to send it to the Law Reform Commission so the right people were writing the legislation. And that is the best place for it, because we must make sure the legislation is right. I cannot stand here and tell you how we would vote on this. No one can, because we don't know the bounds of the legislation. This is a serious issue, a very serious issue, and I would put to you one of the most serious issues that a parliamentarian would ever face, and that is why you must look at the legislation, look at what the boundaries are in that legislation, and you must consult your community. But I'll say this: I won't politicise it like what has been happening in the last month, which is exactly what happens, which appears like it has just been for the Premier to secure Currumbin.
Well, I reject that absolutely. Let me talk about something that is incredibly personal, and it means a lot to a lot of people in this state. I would support voluntary assisted dying, and my government, if we are re-elected, we will bring that in so the parliament can actually make a decision about that on behalf of the people that they represent. Secondly, I have said that the members of my team will be allowed a conscience vote. Now, let me tell you why my views have changed on this. I consider myself a Christian. I went to a Catholic school. I hold deep Christian values. But it's not for me to tell other people how to end their lives. I've put extra money into palliative care, over $170 million, which we announced during the election. That is absolutely needed. And during this pandemic, I lost my grandmother. And it was a very distressing time for me. And just like a lot of other people, I couldn't go and see her when she passed away. We were limited to 2 people in that room. She went through incredible pain. In fact, the day she called me, when she was in pain, I couldn't go. I had meetings in the city, so I had to ask my mum to go. I don't want anyone to suffer. I don't want anyone to have to go through that. And I'm just saying to Queenslanders, it is a personal matter for a family and the individual and their medical practitioners. It is not for me to make the decision on behalf of them.